Tim Fahey, for the Village of Corrales. Please put your phones on vibrate or turn them off, whichever you like to do. And then once you've done that, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was a basketball team.
Good fun.
Guys, the recording on? Did I hear it say it was on? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Woolman,
Here.
Counselor Knight,
Here.
Counselor Alsobrook,
Here.
Counselor Burkett,
Here.
Counselor Murray,
Here.
and Counselor Miera.
Somewhere.
Is he nodding?
He's here.
Is he raising his hand?
I'm on video. I'm on audio.
Okay, and you can hear us, right?
I can hear you fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion to approve the agenda by Counselor Woolman and a second by Counselor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So the ayes have it. The agenda is approved. We will begin with an employee recognition in a presentation. Some dude named Lynn Sieverts. I would like to say that we have both been here about the same length of time. And I can't believe I don't remember meeting you 26 years ago, but I must have. You have done a fantastic job. And I want everyone here to know that this year, our pool was picked as the best in the metro area, even though we had disaster after disaster occurring. Not your fault.
No, it's old.
But here, I'd like to give you this and say, thank you very much for all you do. You know, all right.
Well, I just want to say it's been a pleasure working here. For the 26 years I've been here, I haven't missed a single event for my kids, any sporting events or anything because of this job. I'm able to get it worked around all the schedules. I mean, it is a lot of work to do here, but you can get here at 6 in the morning and start. And it's a lot easier to get here at 6 in the morning because no one's bugging it. So, but in community, I really want to thank you. I've met some really great people in this town. I'm not leaving anytime soon, but it's just, especially now that we got the new gym. If you haven't seen the new gym, you need to come and see it. It's phenomenal. We had someone break a rib on Friday playing pickleball, someone break a finger yesterday playing basketball, but it's all good. So, but no, if you guys want to, please come and see it. We did the grand opening and the band that we had, actually, the Ask Academy principal was at the grand opening. Now they want to do their dance in the gym. So I mean, so it is, I think, to be used for several different things. So.
And so what do you charge for personal tours?
Well, okay, so right now it's only just $1 per person per day, but it's only that way until I figure out what the bills are gonna be.
Oh, that's pickleball you're talking about. I was talking about personal tours.
Oh, those are free. Just stop by for those, so.
Okay. Yes, you're good. You did
Thanks,
great.
you guys.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to have a report on a facility by the facility committee. I'm not sure what to call it, Johnny. Whether you're, yeah, I'll let you tell us.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and all those in attendance. First up, I just need to take a minute and thank emergency services here. I was on the phone the other day with someone in Texas and he misunderstood me. And a few minutes later, I had a knock on my door and it was our first responders were at my door because the guy thought I was sick and he called 911 from Texas. I have a post office box. Our emergency services went to the post office. They found out where I lived and they found me that way. And it was all pretty quick. So hats off to them. They do a great job. So, and I am Johnny Martinez. I was the chairman of the Multi-Use Center. And so we have a report. I've got some slides up, but everybody knows we don't like slides, so I'm just gonna kind of glance over everything. Sky, I hope you can follow me here. We broke up our report, and you have the reports, I'm sure. We broke it up into different sections: the preamble, the introduction, the background, the process, results, needs, things that we found out that the village felt they needed, results, concerns, what we felt they were concerned with, and we have some conclusions, some recommendations, and a summary, and then also included in your report should have been the appendices. Preamble. Okay, so we were appointed to represent the broader village of the Corrales community with regards to a multi-use center, and we're honored to represent you. Our goal was to cast a wide net to capture a lot of information from the public so that we can have some conclusions and recommendations for you folks. And we hope this report will lead to a continued constructive, inclusive, and mostly transparent discussion when it comes to this plan of this process or this project. We were, our committee was created under Resolution 2357, and that was to complete a plan for a multi-use facility so that construction documents can be commissioned by the village administration. We also, one of the main directives in that resolution was for us to gather more citizen input so that we could make sure we met the needs of the village, or as much so as we could, through such a center, and that would incorporate those needs into our final design recommendations. We had 6 months to do that. And the members of the committee are John Perea, Pat DeVivi, Sherry Jones, Cynthia Nava, Ed Bowles, Rick Snow, Ken Martinez, Barbara Boyd, and myself. They put in a lot of time into this, so I really want to give my hats off to them. I tried to take a back seat with all the work that they did, and they really were amazing. We quickly learned that we needed to have some open meetings. There was concern about people not being aware of this project and the scope of it. So we quickly decided we needed to have some open meetings, the public, and so that brought us in here to the council chamber, which allowed Zoom ability, so people that could not be here in person could Zoom in, and they could also view our meetings afterwards on YouTube, on the village YouTube channel. That was really important. As we continued into this process, it seemed like the public concern eased. The more we were transparent, the more they had access to our meetings, the more they were able to speak. It seemed like they just kind of eased and their concerns were eased, and now they were being invited or heard. Somebody said that people are intimidated by something they're not aware of, and so I think that was, we took that to heart, and we tried to make everything public and get people involved. There was some of the background is there was a prior committee. There was an Arts Community and Education Center, ACE committee, and they were established under a different resolution. And their job was a little bit different in that they were to identify and implement a plan to create a performing arts center that could be used for a variety of events. And also they were to gather further citizen input, and they were members from various communities within Corrales. They did create a conceptual plan that I'm sure many of you have seen, and to be located on the Jones property. Again, we received feedback that a lot of people weren't aware of this. So in our process, we really started asking, do village residents really want a performing arts center? A lot, like I said, didn't have prior knowledge, and so there was a concern about that. So do village residents really want some version of a facility that meets their needs? I mean, there's a couple of different things going on there. There was some dissatisfaction with the previous conceptual drawings of the ACE Center. And again, it all stemmed back to people not being aware of that, and there was some misinformation. We know we've talked about that before in different settings. So we wanted to just make sure that everything was out in the open and gather citizenry input. We had 14 meetings with about 40 to 50 residents attending each one, and we held them here in the council chambers. This was full in here. We had 10 or 15 individuals offer up public comment, and then we had the Zoom ability. Now, I don't know how many people watched on Zoom, but I can tell you, as far as the village YouTube channel goes, there was more than 380 viewings of our proceedings. So there was definitely some public interest in this. In one of our settings, somebody mentioned, well, we might as well have it at 3 a.m. if you're going to have it at 10 a.m, because I can't come at those times on Thursday mornings. We took that to heart, so we ended up having two public forums, one on a Thursday evening and one on a Sunday afternoon, so that we could have some more village input. We had approximately 250 attendees combined between those two settings, and people were very appreciative of all the council members that showed up. So we did get that feedback. Sherry Jones created a survey that was specific to our process, and she put a lot of work into that. And we were able to establish needs and concerns that village residents had. Some of them included, meetings, classroom space, social events, equestrian activities, dances, graduations, youth activities. I mean, you can see the list. There was a few up there. And along with the needs of village resident needs, we needed to take into consideration a design that might be flexible for meeting rooms and classrooms, something that maintained the architectural integrity of the village, showcase our history, our arts, some of the village founders. An outdoor plaza was important to folks. People wanted to have cutting edge technology so that that could be easily updated and ADA compliant, American Disabilities Act compliant. They wanted to protect and maintain our equestrian infrastructure, that we're the horse capital of the state. So people wanted to keep that in the mix. They wanted space for equestrian classes and such. Some people felt we needed the use of a catering kitchen. And we have an architect on our team who said we really needed to be LEED rated for sustainability, which is the thing now, And so LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. So I do think that's important, especially when we have a post office made out of straw bales. Some more needs that we felt we extracted from all the data was we really need to determine the size of a facility. We need to conduct traffic and feasibility studies, determine the expense, funding sources, operating costs, and management of the facility. We also needed to ensure that environmental noise and lighting ordinances are followed. Along with that, we thought, where we're at, things could be limited with our, with the present design. So we also thought we should consider all properties in the village, taking into consideration the footprint, exit and entrance on the Corrales Road, capacity for expansion in the future, and proximity to other village property. And also being able to design into that an outdoor plaza. Some of the concerns that we extracted from that data was traffic and congestions. We know that's been a topic as of late. Maintaining the rural nature of our village, parking and traffic impact on the Top Form Arena, light and noise pollution and other environmental impacts, the cost of operating of such a facility, the speed and plan of execution. Those in favor are saying we're going too slow. Those that wanted to take a better look said we're going too fast. But those were concerns that we extracted from the village meetings and the surveys and such. And the size needs to be determined by a realistic business plan. So in conclusions, the negative reaction that we faced initially was really calmed down by the fact that we met with the people and that we invited folks. That really seemed to calm people down. I think people understood that whatever happens, everyone's not going to be happy, but at least we were heard and we had impact, or we had voice and we had input and we were respected for that. So that we came quickly to find it was really important for us. It does seem like people are in favor of some type of a building, probably more in line of a community center. A lot of people stated the uses. We had that needs results section up there. People wanted, there's a lot of different uses that a facility could be used for. So we need to be mindful of that. And we need to meet the needs of entire range of residents. Maybe a certain type of facility that's specific doesn't meet the needs of all the different age ranges within our community. We do feel there needs to be further planning, study, designing, and it needs to, whatever we do going forward, really needs to include a transparent and inclusive process. There was a minority of folks that didn't favor the project. And we also as our conclusions go, we really need to address the concerns that was on a previous slide, but the big takeaway is that people really want to protect the Coraleño way of life. The things that attracted them to the village, regardless of what we build, we need to protect that Coraleño way of life. Our recommendations are that if we're going to proceed with building a community center, we need to use a transparent model and process that our committee used to solicit and heed advisement of village residents. We need to develop a comprehensive business plan that addresses the size to meet those needs, traffic, including scenario planning, the cost of construction, the funding sources, sustained operational costs. And we probably, and we do need to conduct a thorough assessment of village properties for optimal site for a community center. While writing this, we're thinking that maybe a lot of the pushback that we had is because we're limited or that we were only looking at one location. So that's why we think we should conduct a thorough assessment of all our properties. If this project is still desirable and feasible based upon the above, then we really should have a competitive bid for integrated team of professionals, including a construction manager and program manager. Hire a licensed architect who's experienced in building similar facilities, and hire an experienced construction firm and program manager to handle that. We also should identify some of the short and long-term funding for construction and operating costs. You know, we might get a grant today, but how much is it going to cost us tomorrow? So those are things that we took into consideration. And also along with that, the management of the facility. Obviously, the management of the facility is going to be determined by what type of facility it is and what type of things go on there. And then there's the ease of modification to include expansion. You know, our village is growing. If we build a facility, maybe it needs to grow, we need to be able to expand it. And we need to really ensure that we are in compliance with environmental noise and lighting ordinance. Title II and Title III ADA regulations are also a consideration. Title II being state, Title III more so public places and businesses. In summary, the narrative completing a plan to construct so that construction documents could be commissioned, we did not complete. We felt we lacked the necessary data to do so. We needed data about the needs and desires of village residents. We lacked the services of a registered architect. The formal conceptual design did not have the full support of Coraleños. Again, I think that was mostly because people were just caught off guard. And we need to gather village resident participation and consent where necessary. And pretty much that's in all steps of this process. We really need to have the village involved. Gather further citizen input regarding the needs of the village. We did do that. We did that. We felt really good about that. We were able to get 1,687 distinct quotable items. Thanks, Sherry, with the survey. We collected that data from the survey, from the letters that were written in, reports, different things. We were able to break those down into quotable items that establish needs and a method of priority or assessing priority to village residents. This is a real, it's hard to go over just slides for something like this when the report is very extensive. We had some amazing writers. Rick Snow is an amazing writer. Sherry spent a lot of time on the survey. And you would think the survey is easy. It's not, because everybody has input about what should be in that, included in that. Ken and Barbara, those folks put in so many hours. One of the reasons it's hard for me to speak to this is because I try to take a back seat in all their writing. And so when you read someone's report, it's got so much meat. Trying to speak to that, it's hard. They did an amazing job. This is a great committee. They put a lot of work into it. We're all here available to answer any questions you folks may have.
I agree. It's very good, very extensive. Counselor Knight.
Well, I was amazed on the information you were able to give us with your document. I hope everybody in the audience reads it thoroughly and also tells others in the village to read it to help them again understand the background and how you wanted to make sure that everybody's voice was heard. I thought it was very thorough. It was obviously data-driven and it was concise. It was broken down into categories that encompassed a variety of residents' concerns. When you saw that there were deficits, you corrected them. You know, you said, we need to do more to get it out to the citizenry. So that's really important. You guys did an amazing job. You're blowing me away here. And I appreciate that you did all this work within like a 6-month time period, because there's definitely a lot of work. And thank you all.
Councilor Murray.
Well, thank you, Mayor. So, yeah, I also want to thank you guys. I think you did a terrific job. But I want to know, in your discussions, did you think about how long the next process is going to take? If we were to get an architect on board, how much time do you need, or how much time do you think we should allocate to have an architect come in, get the residents' input, et cetera, et cetera?
20 years. No,
Wait, pushing daisies up by then.
you know how, when you learn things, you realize how much you don't know. And I think that would be fair to say that the further we dug, oh man, that's caliche. Oh, now we got sand. Oh, now we have this, we have that. And so that's really hard. And I think that's where we came to at the end. We really need to hire professionals to do what we were trying to do, because that's not really, that's not really our forte. We might be going along fine, and then Ed, an architect, would say, well, what about this? Okay, time out. We might go along this way, and then Rick Snow, who's, been in charge of programs at the highest level, might mention something. Oh, we got to stop. Cynthia mentioned some things about architecture and that know what they're doing. And so, Councilman Murray, that's really a loaded question.
Well, I know it is, but I mean.
We did not discuss how long that would take. We did not, tell me if I'm wrong, but we did not discuss how long it would take. But I do think someone that does this for a living would be a lot faster and a lot more accurate, and maybe not spin their wheels as maybe we did in some areas.
Well, I don't know. It seems like you hit the road running pretty good. I mean, you got the meetings up and running. They were very transparent. I watched the YouTube videos. I really appreciate that. But I'm also looking I think we need to advance this to the next stage. And I'm looking, how far down the road do we need to go in terms of allocating resources and time for this project?
You folks can all speak too if you have an input. I do
accept
think
any ideas.
we did at one point mention in our discussions, Ed's an architect, and we have architects in the village. We have people that do this for a living, or they have done it for a living. And so you get the SMEs, the subject matter experts in those specific areas. It might be a few meetings and they might be able to tell you it would take this long, because that's what they do. That's just not more for yes, ma'am. Sherry.
I forgot already that I have to speak into a microphone. We also talked a little bit about we'd like to be involved down the road too. I know we're coming to our end, but we think we've got a lot of investment in this, and we've worked really hard at trying to listen and stay as open as we can. So we would like to do that, because we would like to see it advance to the next step as well. Thank you.
Councilor Wellman.
First of all, I want to thank the entire committee. You did really an amazing job. I had the privilege, and I mean a real privilege, to be able to attend a number of the meetings. I've also spoken to a number of architects in town who are, for the most part, retired, and I think are willing to initially come together and try to create a concept of what you've put together and what that might look like. And I would appreciate if you could continue to be involved, because your knowledge, your background, and the time you put in is really going to be critical for us moving forward. We talked at one point about possibly extending your time. That obviously wasn't necessary. Johnny, I think he was, pretty tough at times in running those meetings, but he ran them well, and the results are obvious. So we appreciate if you would stay involved. Again, thank you very much for what you've done. It's just terrific. So thank you.
Councilor Burkett.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I also was at a handful of things and they were fantastic. I just have a question. So in your document, you talk about what the initial ACE committee had put forth in their plan, which was the theater for 244, central stage, dressing room, green room, rehearsal, storage space, construction, gallery, meeting room, classrooms, prep kitchen, and a courtyard. From your 6 months, what do you think that plan is missing, or what do you think that plan had that doesn't need to be there? I think there seems to be a strong consensus, at least from what I've heard. Aesthetically, there's certainly desire for different than what was drawn, but functionally, I'd be curious what specifically you guys think was unnecessary from the first one and should be added.
And you folks can all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when that design was created, they were looking at a performing arts center, and I think they did a good job. But the feedback that we got was from the community was, we didn't know about this. And so right away we had to stop. So when you asked me that question, as far as a performing arts center, that may have been fine. But after consulting with, or, meeting with the residents, no. We haven't had a need for this for years and that hasn't been met. We've had a need for this that hasn't been met.
What are this is that we don't have or that we should have?
So we really got some, we really heard from the question community that it's very busy back there, and we're concerned with trailers going in and out with our horses. We have the gym that went up. We got some feedback. Hey, my kids play soccer there. What are we gonna do when they have performances early in the evening, in the summer when it's 7:30 and they have performances, but that soccer field is full of kids, and the gym also, they did a wonderful job with that gym. I'm sure it's gonna be packed. So when you're asking me that question, that's kind of a loaded question, because a lot of the pushback we had was just because people were not informed and they weren't able to give their input. And so if you want to perform an arts center, Barbara will tell you that was a good size for that. But if you are talking to other folks in the village, that might say, hey, we had other needs and nobody ever asked us anything about that.
I guess that's my question with you guys.
Yes.
6 months of really getting people's input. What does it tell us? What do they want that wasn't in that plan? I mean, it sounds like maybe traffic. I mean, obviously is a concern, but it seems like with its 160 data points, there should be some bullet points as far as what do they want that wasn't here, or what's here that they didn't want.
More meeting rooms, more classrooms, visual art space, performing arts space, but more meeting rooms, more classrooms.
So same
We're
thing with the
clear.
plan, but more of those
Exactly.
smaller rooms for people to
Exactly.
gather.
Well, I'm flexibility and all of that, right?
Okay.
With accordion walls and that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Thank you.
Technology was also very important because kids, the Wi-Fi and doing work there.
Counselor Knight?
Thank you, Mayor. I have one question. A few years back, I was at the Top Form Arena almost every Sunday. And I know where the arena is. And then I know we have a huge area in front of that where Public Works has their machinery and their building and things. And then the plan would be for this multi-use building would be in front of that. So I'm not exactly sure how it would affect Top Form Arena.
I'm gonna just go back to what I heard. You have that place full of kids. You have a lot of people that come to watch the games. They will actually park back there.
In the arena?
No, but in that back area. Now, I did go back there like 2 weeks ago just to see see how things are developing. And I could, me personally, and we might have different inputs from committee members, but I personally can see how when that's full of kids and people are coming to watch their soccer games and it's in the summer and it's 9 o'clock and the gym's is full of stuff, I can see if someone's there at the arena late in the afternoon, and I don't know how late they are, but I could see all that congestion being a concern for them. Do we have any other inputs?
Counselor Mira, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Questions, no, but congratulations abound. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to join you on Zoom. And second of all, also want to express the gratitude that you did. As you all know that we're in the committee, I attended more than a few of those committees, quite a few of them. And so I've watched that progression come along I would like to make a real quick comment on that last part. I think we've talked about it and we passed a motion that talked about how we're going to work with all the properties that we have now. When we did this one, that was the only property that was online, and then we've been able to look at a few more and maybe a few more yet still to come. So I think one of the suggestions that they had was to bring forth the ability to how all of these properties are going to work together on this particular one. And I know that this one is not for discussion now, but the fact that they were left with this resolution having to do with just that Jones property. But I think it makes sense as we talk about it, the more that I listened to them and the community spoke, that we need to be able to involve all the properties and how they can work together and not separately. So, but that aside, I want to thank the community I want to thank you for allowing me personally to come over and listen to you have those discussions. So thank you very much. Congratulations to each and every one of you and your families, because it took a whole lot of time for you to be there. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you. Yeah, and I was going to say something too. I think, Councilor Knight, my suggestion would be, let's get into the middle of summer when the soccer fields are full and the gym is up and running and people are riding their horses in the evening. I think that's, it's suppositions don't really work, but if we can actually have some objective, observations with all those things in play, I think that would really help us.
Having lived there, I think that, yes, there's going to have to be obviously some considerations for traffic and things like that, but I think it's another issue. But as they would have horse shows, the hot flash riders that you used to go to, a lot of the horses or people are accessed from the ditch to go into the arena, unless they're having an event like a harvest festival and stuff like that. They park their trailers and stuff there. I had those trailers going back and forth. They were not a problem. I think it would enhance them. And we did talk with like Linda Blair, and she cooked us up with the other horse people. And one of their big concern was that we not pave over the top form and that it stay open. And that was never, ever, in my opinion, ever a consideration. I think that one of the things we did talk about was opening it up to have, maybe they wanted some education things for the equestrian community, veterinarians coming and giving talks. You could bring horses right up there if you needed to show something, not just horses, cattle, sheep, whatever you want to bring up. So we thought that would be a really good idea for that. I do agree that we need to make sure that things are coordinated, and I think too, don't just look at it as it is today, because there's a lot of different things that are going to happen. You get a good architect in there, they're going to look at, how traffic's going to flow and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's so key, that whatever architect we look at has experience in these kinds of buildings. And it truly is a multi-purpose, I don't want to use that or a community type center thing. And I think it's really hard to describe what we've been kind of talking about, but we tried to listen to everybody and look at it. And now it's time for the professionals to figure out how they're going to make it work. Did that answer your question?
Anyone else? Okay. Hey, guys, thank you very much. Johnny, thank you very much. You guys did a great job. We are having some assistance from Main Street to try to put together all the different properties that we have sort of accumulated over the last few months, to see how we can put them all together to manage things like not only automobile traffic, but people traffic, make sure it flows reasonably well, and also utilize the spaces appropriately. Right now, if you ask Public Works, they don't want anybody back there on that asphalt except for their vehicles. That's all they want. And it may end up being that's just going to be Public Works. We don't know yet. But yeah, we have some properties that we can use that we had plans for, and we still have some plans for. But, Angela has helped us get Main Street involved, and hopefully in the next, week from now or so, this Friday. Yeah, we're actually going to meet with them, and they're going to offer some suggestions, the way to approach it. Okay. If nobody has Rick, you don't have anything at all you want to ask or say or? You're-
No, no, I think I said my piece, but again, I wanted to thank them, but more than anything, I'm glad that we brought that up again. The fact that we need to be able to utilize all the spaces that we have working collectively and conjunctively together when we plan and build this parking where, movement where, and so forth and so on. So I know that they were, like I said, I think the most important part was listening to them, is that they were limited to always having to talk about the Jones property, but I think maybe we need to be thinking far and above that with regards to exactly what is the best possible use for the Colareños in the areas, plural, that we have available to us.
All right.
Everybody?
Thank you, sir. Well, then we'll move on. Unless you had somebody sign up. Okay. Say again? Okay. All right, well, let's move on then to Mr. Curry and his administrative report.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. First thing on the agenda of this is Tanya giving us a little health update for the village.
Hello, thank you, Mayor, Council, Administrator Curry. I'll try to be brief, but I have a lot of information today. The first thing is 4 years ago on March 11th, 2020, we got our first 3 COVID cases in New Mexico. And that's when public health orders started coming out. As of March the 2nd, the United States has had 1,183,143 COVID deaths. The good news is we're much better off than we were 4 years ago. We have vaccines and we have treatments, Paxlovid, Remdesivir, and Molnupiravir. So the vaccine has been released for anyone over age 65 to get a second dose of the 23-24 formulation of the COVID vaccine. And anyone past 4 months of their last vaccine or their first vaccine can get it. And if you haven't had one, you can still get it. Hospitalizations today for COVID were 33, with 1 pediatric, making 34, 6 in the ICU. Influenza, we had 47 in the hospital with 14 in the ICU. For the last 7 days, we have had 635 lab diagnosed cases. So that makes 30 out of every 100,000. And those are just the lab cases. 10 hospital admits and 100, which makes one in 100,000 that have been admitted to the hospital. For tests, though, we've had 8,648 lab cases for a state 6.7% positivity. The influenza map for New Mexico, the CDC map, has us at the lowest level of high, not the medium level, so we're starting to come down. The US has a 6.5% positivity rate right now, which is down 1% from the last update. As of March 2nd, there were 15,141 US hospitalizations, which is down 13.6%. Deaths did increase for the same time period, 2.2%. And we know that comes as cases go up, then hospitalizations go up, then deaths go up, and then they all start coming back down. RSV is doing really, really well in the state. We don't have a lot of cases. Sandoval County had 0.36 cases discharged or RSV, and statewide it was only 0.23 cases. I do want to talk a little bit about the new CDC protocols. Everyone, they rolled them back about the 5-day isolation period. A lot of people got very upset about that, and it's understandable. It did not change for healthcare. Healthcare workers still have a longer isolation period before they can go back to work and wearing masks. What it does say is if you're sick and you're sick, you should stay home. And it says without a fever for 24 hours or fever reducing medications. Fever is only 30% of COVID cases, but that doesn't mean just fever medicines. If you're too sick to go through a day without taking cough and cold medicine and those kind of things, or to control your body ache, you shouldn't be back at work. Talk to several epidemiologists on this. You shouldn't be back to work. And then you're still supposed to wear a mask for 5 more days after you go back to work. And they did update it to say N95 or KN95. They actually quit just saying mask and recommending. So we know that the most contagious period is when you're very, very sick and then it goes off. Most people are still contagious 7 to 12 days after they've got COVID. So, but it doesn't mean you just go back to work because you can handle it on medication. You should be off medication and be able to handle work. And the other thing that I want to talk about is measles. There are measles in 17 states right now. We are up to 45 cases in the United States, and we only had 58 last year for the whole year. We are doing pretty good. We've got no cases in New Mexico, and we do have a high vaccination rate. About 92% of all kids under the age of 24 months, up to 24 months, have received their measles vaccine. But it is something the state has told us to start watching for, because depending on how many people we know in California, about 300 people are exposed to measles. So they're having to contact those. So I'll be monitoring the measles cases as well. And any questions for me?
Council Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So Tanya, when you said we were at the low end of the high response, is that for the state or is that for Sandoval County?
For COVID?
Yeah.
So Sandoval County is actually a little bit higher. So the state has a 1% COVID discharge rate from the hospitals. Sandoval County has a 1.12% discharge rate for COVID right now and 3.05% for flu. The state is 2.7%. So Sandoval is a little bit higher right now than some of the state is. And I do know several people with COVID right now. The big thing is getting your Paxlovid. And I've had family members with COVID recently, and doctors didn't want to prescribe them Paxlovid. And NIH has a clear protocol that Paxlovid, and if you're on certain medications, I know can't be given, or certain medications have to be held. But it works well. And the side effects the doctors are telling them are also the side effects that you get from COVID. You might get diarrhea. Well, people have diarrhea from COVID. So it's really important not to wait to get that. And if you get a doctor that doesn't seem like they know what they're doing, you need to find someone who does know how to treat COVID, because long COVID you don't want long COVID. Did that your question? Sorry, sir.
Oh, I was going to say, my last question is, have you had the airboat out yet?
No, we haven't had the airboat out yet. They are working on getting us a trainer in. We are very excited. And I believe Chief Martinez had a meeting yesterday with the whole team that we did last year with the airboats and all the rescue people, starting to get ready for runoff this year. So soon.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Tanya.
Okay, so more to come there, Counselor Murray.
Yeah, you
I'm
jumped
just
the
waiting.
gun.
I know all of you are fans of the library that we have here, and it's always growing. And as the mayor mentioned at the last meeting, it was mentioned as one of the most highly rated storybook libraries in the regional area of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County and Sandoval County. It's the second largest library in Sandoval County. And Sandoval County Commission is voting tomorrow on a proposed ordinance to create a county library board to determine and recommend a regular general obligation library bond amount and a prioritized list of library projects to receive bond funding. And so as the ordinance is going to be written in Sandoval County, Corrales is going to have one representative because we're the second largest library in the area. However, keep in mind, looks like Rio Rancho is going to be the biggest gorilla on this block with 6 members, six members on the board. And so Marion will be up there representing for us, and we were anxious to participate in it, but we're also anxious to make sure that we preserve our space.
How many total members?
12.
And Rio Rancho, you're saying would get half of them.
Rio
Rio
Rancho.
Rancho wants to at least have 6 so that they can't be outvoted.
which is not untypical of some of the other experiences that we've had
Right.
with some of our communications with Rio Rancho. But I just wanted to make you aware of that because even though that we're kind of low down on the totem pole as far as voting numbers, the library that we have in Corrales, as you all know and appreciate, is historical and is a great legacy for this community, and it continues to grow. Just the fact that it got one of the highest ratings for the storybook time is tremendous recognition of the work that everybody at the library does.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. Curry, what's the status of the expansion for the library? Is it still on hold, waiting on disposition of what we do with the Gonzalez property?
Yes, it's still on hold, Counselor, and once the Gonzalez property continues to evolve and we continue to look at what we're going to do with it, as far as the annex goes on the library, we'll be looking at space. We'll be also looking at the area over there for entertainment to make sure that that is all choreographed to a certain extent. And also there's been an interest, as we all know, from the equestrian community to have a pathway through there. So, but it's still on hold. The initial idea for the library is to make sure that there was an annex for extra storage of books. And that kind of grew and grew and grew, and it grew, got a little ahead of itself as far as working with the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Also,
So,
we didn't have the Wells Fargo building,
yeah,
which, may prove to be a helpful addition that can be modified. And we're gonna actually, part of this whole figure out what we're gonna put where, we'll look at that as a possibility.
Well, it seems that if I've understood things right, the excess books wound up out in a shed somewhere on that property. And I'm just curious about the status of that shed. Is it still watertight enough that the books are not going to be ruined or anything like that?
I don't know the answer to that question.
well, the initial idea was to have an annex just for books. And so where the books are right now are the same place they were a few years ago. And so there has been no annex created because there were concerns that there was going to be an intrusion into the parking lot. And for those of you who go over there and park in the parking lot and also have to deal with Roadrunner waste pickup, you have to understand that there's not a lot of room over there. So the short answer to all that, Counselor, is that we're on hold. And as far as the planning of it goes, it's going to depend a little bit on what we do with the bank and the Gonzalez property.
Yes, sir. Council Woolman.
Ron, my understanding is that there may be some discussion tomorrow night at the county commission meeting on the library board that would change the makeup of the board. Perhaps limited to 3 members from Rio Rancho, members from the tribal communities, from Corrales, Bernalillo, Placitas, and that it would be more representative of the county rather than just Rio Rancho. But that's left to be decided. But that's my understanding that the county commission will take that up tomorrow night.
That's our hope. And our discussions today with Marion is that, Rio Rancho, like I said, is kind of the big dog. And we're in second place, but we're interested in providing support for the other smaller libraries throughout Sandoval County.
Yep.
No matter where they are. Because as we all know that we're all more comfortable going to our library here, and plus the services that this library provides. It's gotten 2 new programs in there, including Canopy, where you can go in there and you can do a lot of things online that weren't available even months ago. And they're the same services that are available at the larger libraries. For those of you who like to read the New York Times, the Albuquerque Journal, and other facilities, by just having a library card, you can get all that for free online, no matter where you are in our country or the state.
And probably the only library in the country with a koi pond. So
That's a good point. It's a good point.
Councilor Alsabrook.
Thank you, Mayor. Ron, what's the extent of the authority of the county library board?
To be determined.
Yeah, they're forming.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask that is because it's, expending county funds is certainly one matter. But if their fingers want to reach into content programming, and other things like that, I would vehemently object.
Yeah,
Have
and
that opportunity.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hey, Ron.
okay, Sky, to answer Council Murray's upstaging the pictures here,
Sorry.
can you please show him the boat?
Ta-da. There's a picture of the new airboat. Diamondback, right? Diamondback airboat.
Oh, God.
Chief, does it have a name yet?
Does it have a name yet?
They want to know if it has a name yet.
Yeah, Bertha. How's Bertha?
And it has a nice logo on there too.
So this will help our firefighters, our first responders and our rescuers to be safe and to provide safety for the people who perhaps make an error in judgment in going into the river at the wrong time. And of course, if some of the counselors do that, we can pick them out too.
And for balloon pilots who get a little too heavy, the airboat is always a welcome sight. Did you have any other pictures, Sky, that you wanted to show?
No, just that one.
Well, congratulations to Chief Martinez. This has been a long sought item to have for the basis of hopefully saving lives or helping people who oftentimes over recreate out there in the river at certain times of the year. So.
Anthony, did you want to make any statement or any comment? Are you okay? You don't have to. I'm just asking. Okay. All right.
Just a quick update on the LGIP, the local government investment pool. As of today at about 4:00, we had our last earnings for the last 30 days were $17,158.96, giving us a new balance of $3,799,094.41. And so, as you can still see that we're earning a good deal of interest every month, and that will continue. We try to preserve. We're working on our general fund cash at the same time, trying to use general fund cash as we can in an effort to preserve the principal in the LGIP so that we can get that $17,000 a month. It goes a long way, as you all know. The last thing I wanted to talk about is something that a lot of people talk about all the time, and I guess I would categorize it as what's left or where we're looking at. And this is about the number of properties. And some of this is a guesstimate as to what we have left in the way of Corrales properties. So pardon me while I read some of this. This is things that Lori and I have talked about Lori Stout, Planning and Zoning, have talked about over the years as Corrales continues to grow outward, but also continues to grow inward or fill in inward. So if you look at the northwest sector carefully, a large home builder owns 90 acres more or less up in the northwest sector. It has not been subdivided, but the Montoya Arroyo touches or runs through a bit of it. So some of the section could become lots, but most could. Between the unplatted land at the far north, the Ben Ruiz owns, and unbuilt lots along Estrella Brilliante, Desert Luna within Tierra Corrales subdivision and west of Don Julio, that's another 85 to 90 not yet under building permits. Right now, 7 lots on Don Julio have commercial zoning, but no businesses. They just could be built out as homes and are scheduled in the 85 to 90 for that reason. In the rest of the village, it's much more of a guess. We're filling in blank spaces in neighborhoods. They're mostly counted on already platted lots, and there are 70 or so lots infill in the village. But there are also pieces of land here and there not under farmland or conservation easement that could conceivably be chopped into the future. So again, taking a guess, we're looking at possibly 250 lots going forward in the village at this time. And just as kind of a more recent update, in January, our building official, Brian, issued 3 permits for houses in January. And so far in February, he has done 4. And the difference there compared to what we were doing 2 years ago at this time, when the state regulation and licensing was handling it, the revenues for those building permits now come back into the village, which essentially pay for the building officials' yearly cost, as opposed to going to the state of New Mexico. So the village still has spaces to grow. There are considerations as council members that you're going to be making as to how you deal with that space. A lot of it's in ordinance already, but it gives you a value, an attempt at looking at a value of the properties that are in Corrales. And it also gives Chief Martinez and others, when we're trying to assess the needs for fire protection as we continue to grow on those lots, and the needs, as most of you know, who have homeowners insurance in the village, one of the first questions you get asked to you is how close you are to a fire hydrant. And so these are all things that we look at as we look forward in the village.
Councilor Knight?
Yeah, when you say lots, do you mean acres or lots?
Yes, yes.
Wait, so tell me, is it?
Yeah, acre lots.
Yes, Councilor Woolman.
Just a note, I can recall attending council meetings back in 2006, 2007, and the estimate was that the village would be totally built out by 2013, and then the recession hit. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but this is really good information to know.
Okay. Well, now we'll move to
If I-
Councilor Sporum. Oh,
I-
Councilor Woolman.
Question for Ron. Now the governor has signed the budget, including capital outlay, I'd like to try to get some clarity on the process if I could. On July 25th, the council approves 5 top priorities for capital outlay. These are fire suppression, Angel Hill Suppression Tower, the fire substation number 3, the ACE, and wastewater collection. What we received was $450,000 for the completion of Upper Meadowlark, $100,000 for fire substation, $175,000 for the old church wall repair, and other fire suppression and other funds. My understanding is that the administration called Representative Cates the day before final submission, indicating that Meadowlark was a priority and not to necessarily fund these fire substation or the roads in full. Meadowlark was number 16 on the council approved list, and the old church repair number 23. Residential road repair and drainage was number 9. I realize the approved council list is only our priorities, and our representatives can make those changes. But this has ramifications beyond the initial capital outlay funding. When we discussed how to allocate the bond money, we had choices to make, made more difficult by lack of funds for road repairs and improvements, and substantially less for the fire substation. The administration urged the council not to allocate any funds for farmland preservation and put all of it toward the substation and roads. If we had money from capital outlay, the decision's allocation may have been different. So the question is, did the administration call Representative Cates and ask her to change the council's priorities and instead fully fund the Meadowlark project? And if so, how are we to proceed when the time comes for the next list of priorities?
As we work with the legislature, and Councilor Mira could attest to this, oftentimes, as you mentioned, Councilor, is that the individual legislator can hear the priorities of the council and do whatever they want to do. They could actually fund something outside of the village of Corrales or outside of their district if they so choose. The priorities, and I think you've got 2 sheets that I gave you there that we sent them up, and then they put them in through a filtering process that goes into their system up there. And at some point, they will call us and say, okay, this is what we have done based on whatever decisions the individual legislator wants to do, and then we respond. We talked about Meadowlark because of the fact that it's a project that has been languishing, or not languishing, but it needs to be completed since it has fingerprints on it for at least 20 years of worth of work. The old church was, being pushed by the Historical Society, and they were frustrated because they had taken a look at some things that didn't work. And actually they only asked for $175,000, and I believe they got $275,000 in the final allocation. And so what we have to do is, if they only use $175,000, mostly for plastering, then we'd have to look at reauthorizing it next year, the remaining balance, because we can't overspend for the particular project they wanted. But to answer your question, in the long term, is that we have to do the best that we can to communicate with the legislators what the priorities of the council is. But this administration's priorities have been almost always focused around fire protection and road preservation, or continue to build up. And we continue to be that way. And I think that was expressed when we had the bond discussion last week. And it remains that. And I can't differentiate some of the politics that goes on, but I can just tell you that the administration's position has been roads and fire protection.
So let me make a comment. So when you're asked what is your priority, and we say roads and fire suppression, well, then they want a specific. What is your priority? Well, we want to complete projects, and we have a project that I believe has languished for 20 years and needs to be finished, and that's West Meadowlark. And so we believe that 693,000 plus what we had left over prior to this legislative session will allow us to completely finish that project. It'll be done. We did get some funding for fire suppression for the training facility, for
Substation.
yeah, substation. And that'll help. We got last year, was it 1.6 million we ended up with for fire suppression? And we're still in the process of trying to spend that. So it's a balance, it's kind of like, well, if we can finish a project with what we get this year. Now, it won't be finished this year. It'll be finished in 25, probably the summer of 25, because we won't get the money until October. But that was a judgment call. If you don't like the judgment, you're perfect. It's okay to disagree, but that was our judgment call in that situation. Yes, sir, Councilman Burkett.
Two questions. And one is, it feels a little bit theatrical to even take the time to do a ranking list if we're just going to kind of diverge from that down the road. So is there a reason we're doing the ranking list if it's just going to be prioritized by the administration? And I guess that's my second question is, when we say the administration priorities, could you define what the administration is? Is it 2 people or is it 8 people? Because I've also read some letters in the Corrales or in the mayor's message that have said the administration priorities. And I just want to make sure that everyone understands when you say that, who you're speaking for when you say the administration.
You are the legislative body. You make the ordinances. You pass the ordinances. You allow the money to be spent. You control the purse strings. The administration does just that. We administer that.
Okay. So you guys,
Just like you, I come up for a vote. They don't like my judgment, I get voted out.
Right.
Yes, sir. Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, but to add to Councilor Burkett's comments, it seems that you also have legislated the process to the point where you have ignored council's desires. I mean, I understand that there are projects, certain language, and need to be done. But at the same time, when we set up here, like he says, we prioritize 5 items that we want to see on the legislative list, and yet we're ignored. So I agree with Councilor Burkett. Why even bother to do it if you're just going to sit there and allocate things the way you want it?
Well, main reason we do is because we have to.
I don't buy that. Come on, Mayor.
No, no, we're required to, Counselor, by
Required to.
Department of Finance and Administration. We're required to prioritize and put the list forward and then send it to Santa Fe. And then
Yeah, but you put your stamp on it too.
we do put our stamp on it and, you know,
We talk to them about it.
Yeah, well, more than we do, probably.
Okay, well, you know,
Okay.
Counselor Alsterbrook, you want to comment?
Oh, I was just going to say that, what Ron had said, we're required that legislatures who choose to give us funding need to work from projects that are on the ICIP is my understanding. That doesn't necessarily address ranking because they can just pick and choose wherever they'd like to go on there, which, could save us time by just ranking, I suppose.
I think the number 5 item on the list was for $8 million for the A
Not
Center.
a shovel-ready
Yeah.
project.
Right.
So if I, so does do the legislators get all, in this case, 26 items? Do they get this entire list? And then as we rank them?
When we meet with the legislators, and we met with our legislators in late December and January this year, we give them everything.
Okay. But as you said, they could pick any of these items or items that are not on here.
Yeah, and then
They can pick a batting cage.
yeah, and I can tell you that in the past that in it, a lot of it depends on the governor too, because the governor can go to an individual legislator, not just necessarily ours, and say, ex-legislator or ex-senator, representative, do me a favor and give some of your capital money to something over in Cibola County. And I'll make it up to you later on.
Thank you for that.
Okay, we'll go on to counselors forum, although we've been dealing with a lot of counselor issues. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. Counselor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing that came up tonight, I think we ought to be thinking about is reconstituting the Water Resource Board within the village and have them take a look at what resources are available and what we're using and so forth. They put out 2 reports. One is several years old. I think we need to reconstitute that committee and have them do another look at it.
Anyone else? Okay, well, let's move on to the Corraleos Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. There's a 3-minute time limit. Time limits may be reduced if there's a large number of people wishing to speak. How are we?
We are in good shape.
Okay. All right, who's first?
Okay, first up is Al Gonzalez at 679 Old Church Road.
Speaking for the growers market.
Mayor, councilors, administrator, I'm here representing the growers market. Just wanted to give you everybody like a heads up, review of our 2023 season. We actually had 35 Sunday markets. Agricultural sales were 1,279,224.
Wow.
That is fruits, vegetables, meat, eggs, nuts, and honey. Non-agricultural sales was 117,686. So that is processed food, baked goods, farm crafts, flowers. Okay. Our customer count, that was 137,254 customers. So the average was 3,922 customers per market. So that turns out to be like 1,300 customers per hour or 327 customers every 15 minutes. So we are rotating cars. We're rotating customers. People are not camping out anymore the way they used to. And that's the only way that we can actually be able to do what we do. We did have 3 markets where we exceeded 6,000 customers in a 3-hour period. Okay, so now you're trying to move 2,000 customers every hour. And that's why there's so much congestion on Jones Road, Priestley, Orval, okay, Corrales Road. And, you know, thankfully, the state police don't come along and give everybody tickets that parks on the side of Corrales Road. Wednesdays, that is an in-progress market. We did 15 markets on a Wednesday because it's mid-July through mid-October. But we were still averaging about 350 customers per market. Okay, so studies that have been done by USDA, when you look at 137,000, and you know, I broke it down to, you know, 4,000 customers per market. Customers that come from out of town that are visiting because they're coming to the market from a different municipality. 10% of those customers are actually going to make one more stop in the village and buy something else. Okay, the study was done through NMDA and all the US or all the state NMDAs nationwide, and that's what they found out. So we're lucky that we're a destination in a small community. And, you know, we've been doing this for 30 years now, and I really don't know how much longer we can do it, okay? But those are the numbers. Appreciate your time, appreciate your support.
Well,
Thank
you were selected by the Albuquerque Magazine as the best growers market in the area.
And we had nothing to do with it. Okay, we didn't. Thank you, thank you. We didn't solicit votes. We didn't go out and say, oh, vote for this, vote for this. Anything that we win, any contest we win, it has nothing to do with us. We operate our own website, CorralesGrowersMarket.com. Don't use a search engine. We also have a Facebook page, okay? And, you know, I think we're blessed in the community to have the market that we have.
Have you done a zip code search? Like, I know you're busy clicking away, and I know I don't want to add to your, but I just asked that question.
So I would have to say that about 10 years ago, we
Yeah,
were
that's-
doing dot surveys.
Right.
Where we actually were asking people to put a dot based on, well, we picked Placitas, Bernalillo, a couple of the pueblos, Albuquerque. In Albuquerque category, we had like 5 or 6 different zip codes close to us. And then we had an other section, and people would put in their zip codes and they would put a dot next to it. So the people that are coming from Placitas, Bernalillo, San Felipe, Santo Domingo, Zia, Cuba. They're coming from the South Valley. They're coming from Socorro. We actually have people that come down from the East Mountains.
So we really have a regional growers market here in the village of Corrales.
Correct.
There are those who don't like the label of regional centers.
The growers market, it's hard to label it
I'm just
as
picking on you.
regional.
Yeah, I know. I'm just picking
Okay.
on you.
I know you're just messing with me.
Yeah, just picking.
That's okay. Because you did used to be our market manager at one point.
It was a wonderful time. Thank you
Yeah, it
very
was.
much.
We appreciated it.
Thank you. Anybody, oh, excuse me, I'm sitting here talking now. John,
Just a quick question. So from the numbers you just gave us on customers and the sales, that's really just back of the envelope. That's about $10 a customer over the 35 market season. How does that fit with other markets, or maybe USDA does surveys of these things? I'm just curious.
Okay, so the best market in the state of New Mexico is going to be Santa Fe, because it's the in thing to go. And they're probably running during the winter markets, they're probably running 3,000 customers. During the summer markets, they're consistently probably about 8,000. Downtown, it's an entertainment venue more than anything else. Okay, because they intermix art and crafts, and you have to search for the agricultural producers. Okay, and again, their facility is probably Robinson Park, 5.5 acres, where we're operating in 1 acre. Our sales, I should have brought that report and I didn't. Downtown Albuquerque probably generates about 3 million per year in agricultural sales. Rail Yard is just an entertainment venue altogether. I hope I answered your question. I'm not sure.
No, that's good. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Councilman Murray.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So it sounds like you've got two major problems. One is you need more space for more vendors, so you can have more customers, and you need more parking so you can entertain those customers. Is that
Imagine
correct?
that.
Imagine.
First thing we need is more parking.
Well, I understand that, but let me ask you this. Do you think, it looks like on the list of items to be discussed is a commercial kitchen. Where do you think that would add to your growers market?
I'm not at liberty to answer that question, no. The original game plan for the Jones property was actually a full-fledged processing facility. Okay, that was the original concept. When the building got demolished, other entities came in and let's do this, let's do that. Okay, but the original concept for a processing facility or a commissary kitchen was the Jones House. Okay.
Do you think if we had a bus service, if we could utilize the village center here for parking, would that help with the growers market, Mayor?
I don't know, but we'll certainly talk with the Main Street people about it, and we're still in discussion about a commissary kitchen, as well as moving the growers market to what we think would be a more secure and a larger place, and get them away from the highway and get people off the highway, and maybe help with traffic flow.
In an ideal situation, the Lanza Martinez, also known as the Anderson Field, okay, would be a good place to have a permanent location for the growers market. That way, the current growers market site could actually be used as parking. So we would no longer be obstructing traffic on Corrales Road or on Jones Road, because they would go across the street, through the sidewalk, into an opening by the front doors of the post office and into the new location.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the parking piece of this is very interesting because 1,300 people an hour makes me feel very promising that 244 people from an auditorium would not be a huge parking issue. That if we can handle 1,300 an hour every Sunday. So, I mean, and that's without some of the other parking venues that are currently available. It could be part of this project as well. So it's incredible you guys do that much traffic. Like and it doesn't, on a Sunday, it doesn't feel that much worse than other days.
Well,
So you do a great job.
we're lucky because we've eliminated music. Okay, when we had music, and let me tell you, we had some Emmy nominated bands that were performing for us at $50, but they made a lot of tips. Okay, but you had the groupies. The groupies, there was 30 of them. That's 15 or 30 cars that would show up and they would be there for 3 hours. So we didn't have any turnover on vehicles in the parking lot.
I think we digress here. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you,
other
guys.
questions about the market? Okay. Al,
Thanks.
thanks very much.
Mr. Mayor, congratulations on that and for thinking ahead.
Oh, yes. Okay, who's next?
Okay, next up is Marcy Brandenburg at 6334 Roadrunner Lane. Or did I say that right? Roadrunner Loop?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hi, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councilors. I am from Rio Rancho, so I'm a little out of place here. Sounds like you guys have a lot of money. We can always use some. I requested that the deputy clerk hand out flyers to you all about our meeting on Thursday night, and I see that you have them. Thank you very much for looking those over. I'm a member of CAFA Now, Clean Air for All Now. We have a website that you guys can check out, cafanow.org. Thank you for your time this evening. I am Marcy Brandenburg and I'm a native New Mexican. I was born and raised here. I've lived in Rio Rancho, however, for 25 years. I have many friends in Corrales and I do a lot of business in Corrales. So I kind of figure you guys are all my neighbors, even if you're not. So when I do pass through your area, trust me, I give you a lot of my money too, as well as a lot of my time. My husband and I opened up a coffee store in Rio Rancho in 1999 and began to get very, very ill. So over 22 years, I have been involved in air quality matters in this area, Rio Rancho, Corrales, Northwest Albuquerque. So I'm here today to inform everybody that I know that we have, I'm going to roll away. I know that we have a meeting here, a town hall meeting here on Thursday night. We have a meeting, a public meeting at the old church at 6 o'clock. We're serving paellas. And we really believe that that is a very important meeting because it involves air quality data that we have obtained. And it also involves the cancer research study that we have been working on since 2015, respectively. I brought a visual aid here today, and here's one of our air monitors. And we do have folks in the area that have these located in their homes, outside their homes, excuse me. And they gather particulate matter 2.5. I want to let you know if anybody's interested, please go to the website cafanow.org and please sign up. If you're interested in having a monitor in your house or outside of your house, it's a really great way to figure out what's going on in the air. So the cancer research study is headed up by Dr. Wiggins, who is the head of the tumor registry at UNM Hospital. All cancers are required to be reported to the state of New Mexico. It's a New Mexico law that we love very much. Not all states require that. So Dr. Wiggins is heading up this cancer study that he's been working on for several years. We had a preliminary report released in 2019. We'll be discussing that, and we are hoping the final report will be available within 2 months. When it is, we will certainly let you all know. We do really encourage you guys. We understand that there's a town hall meeting here, but we really encourage you to come to the in-person, face-to-face, where you can sign petitions, learn about the air quality that we are now breathing. It's concerning. The cancer research study is concerning. The air quality monitor data is concerning. And we would really like to see you there. And we are serving for people who are hungry and coming from work. So come on over, have some coffee and some paellas. And thank you very much for reading I'm sure you probably won't be able to make it, Mayor, but if you can drop in, we would love to have you there.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for your time tonight.
Okay, next up is Tony Tafoya on La Entrada.
Hello, Mayor, councilors. A little follow-up on what else spoke about. I just want to make sure that we are not moved out of that lot for the Harvest Festival again this year. Last year was a disaster for us. We did find a place, but we only had 19 vendors and only 1,200 customers. In 22, in the same where we're located now, we had 27 vendors and 6,000 people came in. In 21, we had 4,500 people. So it did cut a lot of our people out because we were way in the back and people didn't know where we were. So we'd like to stay where we're at regularly. Most of our customers know where we're at. And the growers market attracts a lot of people into this village. And I'm sure they shop at Wagner's and many other places. A lot of the people love to come just to enjoy burritos and pick up fresh produce. And Al can provide more numbers if you want them, but I hope you consider us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay, next up is Rick Toller, 483 Hanson Road.
Hi, so about a week, 10 days ago, I sent a letter to my counselor, and I never got a reply, so I'm just gonna read it, and you can consider it a letter to all of you. My letter said, have you given up on doing anything about the speeding problem on West La Entrada and elsewhere on the side streets of the village? Problem has not gone away. We need you to introduce a rational, common sense procedure for requesting a traffic study and get one done on West La Entrada. You can use the language that I provided you or other language that takes the obstructions out of the loop and allows you as counselors to get something done. Include the language that states that if lower speed limit is recommended by the traffic study, it must be residents opposed to the change that are required to petition against the change. Meanwhile, where are the rest of the simple improvements that would go a long way toward reducing the problem? Where is, for instance, West La Entrada on the striping schedule? Haven't heard anything. Why have no additional speed limit signs been put up? Why has the village declined to pursue any kind of ticketing, traffic cams, or speed signaling signs like the ones on Rio Grande Boulevard, which everyone concedes are excellent traffic calming devices? Another excellent idea was proposed to me, which I haven't ever brought up, and that is to put a crosswalk and illuminated pedestrian crossing sign at the driveway to the library, which would make a lot of sense because there's a lot of pedestrians going in and out of that spot. Similar to the one on Corrales Road at Cottonwood School, this would definitely ameliorate speeding, at least at that end of the road. And for that matter, it would also be good to put something up at the ditch bank where West La Entrada goes over the ditch, and same at Meadowlark, and same at Ella, just some very prominent signage so that drivers know that people are crossing there. We've been counting on you guys to stand up and do what's right. Please don't disappoint us anymore. Thank you.
Next up is Fred Hashimoto, 485 East La Entrada.
Thank you, Councilor and Mayor. I, along with many others, would like to thank Johnny Martinez's committee for their time and efforts, and also for hearing and actually listening to us. After seeing the ACE presentation to council a year ago, many concerns and unanswered questions arose. At a later meeting, I mentioned concerns about the line drawing design and sparse detail presented, and was told by staff to look at the village website for the MUF, which I did, and it was not very helpful. Actually, a little later, 4 months worth of ACE committee minutes were mysteriously deleted from that website. Later, a counselor suggested having staged public information forums where ACE committee members could interface with the public. That did not happen. Village Hall decided not to pose a bond question related to the MUF, which had been a sort of public referendum on the item. To buy the public support, the name was changed from Performing Arts Center to Arts and Community and Education, and then to the multi-use facility. That in itself was insufficient. Actually, I did learn something from the ACE committee meeting minutes. In the October 17th, 2022 minutes, out of 6 opportunities listed, quote, broader public knowledge / support, unquote, was number 1. Out of 6 threats listed, lack of public support was number 1. Was this internal observation heeded? No, the general public was ignored. The MUF committee was convened, and fortunately, they made big efforts to include the public with Zoom meetings and welcoming public input. The results of this were published tonight. They're actively opening up their meetings, and the issue to include the public was remarkable. In my almost a half a century in the village, this was just outstanding. Hopefully, such openness and receptivity will be a model, an example for issues in times to come. Thank you very much.
Okay, last up is Chris Allen at 299 Ranchitos Road.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council, members of the audience. I was here a few weeks ago and described the comprehensive plan survey that we issued over the fall. And I wanted to tell you that members of the committee spent hours, days, weeks, even months trying to create a survey that was as unbiased and as inclusive as possible. And to that end, we received almost 2,000 responses, which I told you at the time tracked beautifully with the over 50 meetings we had with citizens during the course of the summer and into the fall. Unfortunately, 2 rumors have sprung up, which have caused some people to doubt the results of that survey. And I wanted to address those tonight. One is a rumor that village staff encouraged individuals to fill out multiple copies of the survey. I don't for a second believe that anybody on our village staff would do that. We did have people ask if they could pick up multiple copies of the paper survey to distribute to homebound and to the elderly. And we said, of course, because we wanted their voices to be heard as well. We also heard a rumor about one individual who filled out the survey out 5 times. And I was extremely disappointed to hear that, because I don't understand why somebody would violate the public trust like that and feel that his opinion was more important than anybody else's. I was also disturbed by hearing secondhand, admittedly, that when this person announced this at a committee meeting, nobody challenged this individual. In fact, people cheered and clapped. We operate under a government that is of the people, by the people, for the people. And as a result, we need to take responsibility for that government. We hear all the time that we need to hold elected officials accountable. We need to hold our non-elected officials accountable. But there's another group that has to be held accountable, and that is each and every one of us. We have the responsibility to carry this democracy on our shoulders, and we need to be fair and honest and clear and accept our civic responsibility to help each other create a village and even a country that we all want to live in. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I could, I know it's a bit out of order, but I wanted to recognize a longtime former member of this council.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I'll let you do it then.
So, Pat, would you like to stand? We promise we won't throw anything at you. Okay. So Pat Clauser was a counselor and very involved in the village for many, I hate to say another many, but quite a few years. And she's graced us with her attendance at this meeting.
As I understand, has moved back to the community.
Okay. Well, let's move on then to the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Yes, Council.
you want to take 5 minutes and allow the crowd to?
And all the fun stuff. So yeah. Maybe the clerk could help. Trying to remember.
It's done at the similar, well, it's very similar. When you go, go. Well, no, it's down. Yeah, you do the lateral, you do the medial collateral, the medial ulnar collateral ligament still. They usually use palmaris. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. So I need a motion for a consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion to approve the consent.
I'll second the.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, Rick, was that you?
Yeah, that was. real.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you got that? Guy?
Got it.
Okay. So this is for the minutes of February 27th, application for Music and Corrales and application for the Corrales Egg Hunt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. New business, new business. Consideration, action, and approval of resolution 2412, publish and post approval for ordinance 24-03 zone map amendment. This is just a zoning change, that's all. And it's in the commercial core and it's changing it from residential to commercial. Councilor Murray,
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution 2412.
thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Woolman. Any discussion? Councilor Alsobrook is first.
Oh, sorry. Just a minor point of order, and I'll state this again, in the final hearing. The applicant was a good friend of mine in college, and, our paths have amazingly crossed again here in Corrales.
Small world.
I don't think it reaches the level of direct personal benefit, and so I plan to hear and vote, and I don't plan to recuse myself. I
Well,
just
think
want to
that's
make sure,
okay. No, I think that's fine.
want to make sure it's aware in case there's an appeal and this get pointed out later.
Okay, Councilor Knight.
Yeah, when I was over the minutes from the P and Z meetings, I didn't know if there was a consensus about the road issue. Because they said that both properties were going to use the road.
Okay, this is a zone change only. If they do any road work, if they do any building work, if they do any business work, that goes for a site development plan and it will come back. It will be thoroughly vetted. All we're doing is changing the zone. Okay? Anybody else? Okay. How do you vote? Councilor Miera? Councilor Miera, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
Councilor Murray?
Aye.
Consideration action approval of ordinance 24-02, repeal of section 2-60 of the village code. I need a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
I have a motion to approve. Resolution, no, excuse me.
Mayor, I'll second that.
Okay, ordinance 24-02, repeal of section 260 of the village code, and a second by Councilor Murray. Okay. Do we have any discussion on that? You recall, we did this so that we would have the order of business as a resolution that can be changed easily as opposed to an ordinance that is, anchored in law. Does anybody have any comments, any discussion? Yes, sir, Councilor Murray.
Well, I just want to make a comment that I'm pleased to see that one paragraph has been removed, so I'm happy with that.
Well, even blind squirrels find acorns every once in a while. Okay,
One quick question. It says passed and approved 13th day of March and today is only the 12th. I think.
well, I probably won't sign it till tomorrow.
It'll be long.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're East Coast time. 2 more hours, we'll be fine.
Okay,
It's
anybody
the time
else?
change.
Okay, we're a little short-staffed this week, not meaning that Sky isn't doing an excellent
Wow.
job.
Yeah.
But we're a little short-staffed. Okay, how do you vote, Counselor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
Counselor Murray?
Aye.
Counselor Burkett?
Aye.
Counselor Knight?
Aye.
Counselor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Okay, let's move to 3. Consideration action approval of resolution 24-13, approval and adoption of rules of procedure for the governing body meetings. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Who said that? Counselor Woolman. Do I have a second? Oh, Counselor Knight. Okay, we have a motion for and a second. Any discussion? Anybody want to change anything? Add anything? Delete anything else? Counselor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Counselor Burkett?
Yes.
Counselor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Counselor Knight? Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
And Counselor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, well, now we're going to announcements of future agenda items. We have discussion of changes to alarm permits. And they'll come back probably it's going to come back next meeting. Discussion changes to business ordinance, chapter 10 of the village code next meeting. Audit approval presentation from Josh Trujillo next meeting. And then John Young is coming on the 9th, April 9th. Okay, he wants to give us a little bit of an update of what he's thinking about a commercial kitchen. And then Erica Edgerly wants to come down from Intel and give us an update on what Intel's doing and how it impacts us, I suppose. Anything else anybody wants to bring up or talk about? Yes, sir.
So when are we going to start budget talks in May? Is that correct?
We're going to actually start budget talks next week in the administration.
Okay.
And I'm going to defer to our village administrator. He's the one with the whip.
We're gonna have 2 meetings, 2 days of next week, I believe. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
It's next week.
Yeah, for budget meetings, the budgets have been sent out to the individual departments, and then we'll be bringing those into the council shortly thereafter, because we have to get them up to, it seems like every year it gets earlier for DFA that they want to see them up there. So we'll be looking at sometime in June to get a vote.
And we kind of want to be a little ahead of the curve so we know where we are financially and what we have to do and what we can do, that kind of stuff.
And what they'll do is we'll send up a preliminary budget that, as of last year, the council doesn't have to vote on that, but we like for you all to vote on that. And then we'll send up another one that will be close as possible to what the final budget is. So we'll have essentially 3 cracks at the apple.
And it makes us all look at what we're doing 2 or 3 times.
And when are you going to entertain suggestions from us?
Say again?
When are you going to entertain suggestions from us?
We'll bring, after we meet with the department heads, we'll bring a budget to you that you'll get to pick on and chew on and suggest and desuggest.
Okay. Well, one of the things I was looking at or thinking about is we need to allocate some kind of funding process for public works so that we can fix some of our drainage issues coming off of the west slope. And that means probably taking the fill out of the off the roads, somewhere. And we need to just think about how we're going to do that. How many FTEs could we allocate for doing something like that, just to fix the drainage coming off the roads? There's a lot of these pipes that filled in, with sand and mud.
That is an ongoing process.
I know, but it seems like
Michael online.
He is not.
Okay. He's out there with the Vector truck clearing pipes.
Yeah,
He's
but
out there with the dozers. They're all out there. They work all the time to keep the roads as clear as possible and the culverts as clean as they can.
Yeah, but the ditches, that come off the west side, they're really in need of being cleaned.
Right. Yeah. And he has, if you recall, when he made his presentation here, he has everything sort of lined up. And it's all a matter of getting the big bucks. We have the matching funds available from old bonds and from these new bonds, once they're available. And then he gets the various funds from the state that he applies for every year. There's like 3. And he gets big chunks of money and we vote on those where they come before the council and we vote.
Yeah.
And
Well,
no, I think it's more one of these than why haven't you done this type thing?
Well, this is from past experience. I worked for the highway department when I got out of high school. And one of the things we did is we had a dirt road, which was a state highway. But we would send 2 road graders out there and they would actually get in the ditches and they would pull that fill in back up on top of the road and then blade the road. And then, next time we had a big rain, they'd go back out there and do it again. We need to think about something like that so we don't have this water running into other properties and so forth.
Okay, sounds good.
Mayor,
Oh, gee, that's a good point. Did you work for DOT?
Yes,
Oh.
Oklahoma though.
Oh, okay. Well, now that's not any better.
It's like working for EPA, man.
Yeah, just try working out in God's country.
And he used to work for the EPA. You don't think that causes a little bit of, okay, so anything else? Yes, ma'am.
we have another special guest in the audience back here. Just thought I'd let you know.
County Commissioner.
I was actually here, but I was out there because you had such a large crowd tonight. And since Chief was with me, I thought we'd sit outside for the most of the meeting.
Well,
But I want to thank you, village manager, administrator, there's too many terms, right? For announcing the issue that's going to be on our agenda on Wednesday with regards to the library advisory board. I do think that is a challenging situation and it would be, I'm glad that Marion's going to be in the room, but if anyone else wants to be there, that would be lovely. We are quite contentious at times, as you all know. And I think the more voices, I'm hearing a lot, we're getting a lot of public comment out of HEMAS and it's very well written. So it's not just, don't do this, you're screwing with us and whatever. It's really to the issue of how it is so unfair for this type of representation, knowing that we have 18 libraries in the whole county and that the ones that are in small towns and villages have, a huge impact on their communities. Apparently Chief has a voice about this as well.
You don't think this is a sort of a book banning move, do you?
No, more than one person have asked me that, and I don't like to be much of a conspiracy theorist when it comes, what I really think is it's all about the money.
It's all
It's
about
all
the money.
about the money.
Yeah, it's all about the money.
Thank
Okay.
you all.
Okay. So no other things for the future agenda that you can think of right now, please email me if something comes up so we can look at it. Otherwise, because the business session is finished, meeting is adjourned. Well,
Was that time playing in the back?
That's right. We didn't get volleyball in 40 minutes.